I think I definitely was expecting a huge ending to the last episode of this season. I think it was a little bit unrealistic for me to expect that by seeing, for example, the length of the episode, which was like 41 minutes, and we know that it's going to be like 12 minutes of actual episode because there was so much to conclude in this episode, mainly because of the last one. They didn't finish their stabilization in Mandalore, for example, and mostly they did not take the Empire out of their planet. Like, we kind of saw all of that, and at the end we saw some amazing things they are expecting for us in the next season. So let's go and talk about the last episode, and in the end I'm going to discuss what's coming next for Star Wars and Mandalorian. So don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to leave a like, and let's go with this video. Unfortunately, I don't think there's too much to say about this episode, mainly because I think kind of finished, as I said, all the things that were remaining for us to conclude in at least one of the conclusion standpoint. They did it perfectly. So let's start by saying that it was like a direct conclusion, of course, to the last episode, because it's like minutes after, and I think it's one of the most viewed episodes with CGI and definitely fighting scenes. I'm not gonna say that they left the best effects for the last episode, because I think this is one thing that all of the Star Wars fans are seeing in this season, and they agree that the visual effects are perfect. Like, I don't think I got something that caught my attention. I said like, oh, this is very unrealistic, or it doesn't make any sense. I think they made everything work together, and we saw that in many parts of this episode, mainly in the bar where, for example, in the part where Bo-Katan asked X-Wolf to contact the other Mandalorians that were up in space, waiting for their team to do some reckoning of the planet. And as I said, they were gonna exploit the fact that Mandalore now has an electric field that there's in the atmosphere, because they can do now greater things, like what they did, where was asking everyone to leave to the ship and just go down there and join forces with the other Mandalorians and use the main ship as bait. Over there, I thought that X was gonna die, because when I thought he was gonna make up for the fact that he was a complete asshole for most part of the season, but he actually used a very bold move, which was targeting the shots from one of those interceptors and just aimed the ship where those Imperials are located. I think that was awesome, and let's talk about a little bit that later. But it caught my attention, of course, the other Mandalorians that went to that ships, who were like drop ships that they call, because they go to those drop places where they go down as an army, and they're going just like us, and they were just using their jetpacks united as one to go fight the Imperials that were located there, those troopers that had the styles of Mandalorians. And they started one of the most ambitious fighting scenes that I've seen in a long time in Star Wars, because you saw all of that movement around happening through your screen, and then everything was so well done, it was nothing out of place. And the attacking of Empire Mandalorians were also they were so well done, mainly of course about the using of Darksaber to just annihilate all of them with ease, and then the Forger using their weapons to kill all of them. But it was a part where they were just shooting blasters all around. I remembered about Geonosis in Star Wars 2, where we saw the Republic using those ships to just shoot all of them, and it was such a confusion. But in this case, they did it well. And of course, we need to focus on the main character. Mando, of course, was using something that people won't remember, which is using his astromech to go to the planet and help Mando by going through that bridge, that using his controls to open the gates for him to beat up all those troopers after who were guarding the main room for the operations of the base. And I don't know, but the fact that the droid was there, I was having so many good flashbacks of R2-D2, and for some reason remember me for example, Star Wars 4, where we had Obi-Wan in that bridge that he was trying to open gates in the Empire. Like, I remember that scene for some reason. And of course, those little droids that look like police cars, they were also great, and I think it was awesome. And I think a lot of people forgot about Mando and how OP he is, because in the battlefield, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was not familiar with this game at all, because he fought like 10 guards. Of course, it wasn't all of them at the same time, but he first fought them with their bare hands. Then he was increasingly using greater things. Like, for example, he was using some weapons like the knives that they had, or using their electric batons, which was the ones that we mostly saw from those guards that General Grievous had in Star Wars 3. I think that was a little bit scary for me, was seeing a lot of Moff Gideon clones around the place. I love Jean Carlos Esposito's clones all around, and I was a little bit confused in the last episode, as I said, that they're gonna make clones of him, or they're gonna do like actual clones of I don't know who. And they actually done a lot of this, and of course he just killed all of them, and then Moff Gideon really appears there just to annihilate him out of existence because he killed his babies or something. And it caught my attention that mainly Gideon's suit wasn't like Mando's armor, because Mando's armor was mostly the protection that he has and those pads for example, Gideon has a full Iron Man suit made of Beskar. Like didn't even have, and he has a big structure for him to just not have only grip protection, because he didn't have, for example, those soft spots that most Mandalorian armors have, or in the neck or in the arms. He doesn't have that. And he also has a lot of strength because of the armor. And he also revealed that he was planning to make those armies just like him, with those armors and everything, as you saw the last episode, but of course having the Force attached to them. So we're gonna be like Force wielders as Mandalorians, which is interesting because Grogu might be that guy. It's gonna be like that maybe. It kind of answers the question why he wanted Grogu so bad in the last seasons, because he wanted to dissect him to understand how he could do that. But of course, Bo-Katan needed to have the revenge against him. So now Mando needs to defeat those 3 Imperial guards with Grogu, and she's gonna defeat, or at least try to kill Gideon. And I'm gonna be honest, I was not expecting for him to be that powerful, because she was really skilled and she had a dark saber, for God's sake. But I forgot he was using Beskar armor. I think he got clear for everybody that this material is not a joke. Like, she was using a lightsaber close to him, this chest, and of course it made some damage, but it wasn't nearly as substantial as she was expecting to, because if this was like a regular armor, she just cut him in half. But it wasn't, and of course his strength made up to it, and then he just easily destroyed literally the darksaber. And they're kind of in this episode, she understands that it was assembled to unite the people, and she needed to confront that, because she got a respect from all the people that from Mandalore. So it was not as simple. She got the respect for her, so she doesn't have to have those saber to claim her place to the throne. But it's sad to know that this saber doesn't exist anymore. I hope they fix it, because it is fantastic. This dark saber is so opulent and so great. We need to see more of it. Maybe Grogu using in the future. And she's trying to defeat him, and then we see Grogu assisting Mando in the battle against all of those 3, because he was using his powers as a support guy to Mando, because he's not that powerful to just smash those guys with the Force like Luke. But for example, he helped Mando in many ways. Like, for example, when they were battling, their weapons were thrown out there and they tried to grab it, he was just like, nah, and he threw the weapons away with the Force, or just pushed them out. And how to, and if I were those clones, I was like, I'm a head out, because they were just like toying with them, and it wasn't that visually great. But I think seeing the choreography that they had with each other, the chemistry that they had, and seeing how Grogu evolved, I'm gonna talk a little bit later about that. It was so amazing. And then we come back to the part where they said they were using X to use the ship as a bomb to destroy that place, and they kind of kill Gideon. But we need to understand that if you don't see the body, like, he's gonna come back somehow, but he needs to be back in a good way. And of course, the next time he appears, he needs to die, because there are times that we just need to let it go. And as I said, I was gonna explain a little bit of what was the evolution that I saw with Grogu, that Grogu had, which was the fact that if you remember him using the Force in the past 2 seasons ago, he usually used the Force and then he just got weaker after all of that, because every time he used the Force in visually way more powerful times, like in the first episode, where he used again that beast in the second episode and that just dominated it, and he used it for a short period only. And I think because of the experience that we saw that he was gaining throughout the season, and of course the training that he had with Luke in the middle of season 2, season 3, he gained a lot of experience. And of course he's in the position that he is the race of Yoda, so he's probably gonna do something great with his powers. And seeing him in this episode using the Force multiple times, and he doesn't even look tired after using that. And it was very crazy to see that the size of that ship, the explosion needed to be like humongous, and he protected them with ease. It was pretty easy for him. And he is going to be a danger, because as we've seen the end of the episode, he's now going to be an official apprentice of the Mandalorians. He is now officially Mando's son, which was so wholesome. And seeing his development is going to be dangerous, because he's going to be a menace to anyone. And as I said, they're going to bring him to maybe movies or making a show about him for like 200 years after. We need to see something happening, and it's going to be great for Star Wars to do that. Maybe he's going to appear in, for example, the Rey movie that is going to do with like restoring the Jedi Order. We don't know. And of course, what can we expect for the 4th season of Mandalorian? First of all, I think Pedro Pascal is going to stay, because I think the project is too big. And I think Disney is just going to offer him more money to stay, because it's a show that millions of people watch it. At least he's going to stay to do the talkings if he's not going to appear face to face. But he needs to say he's the face of Mandalorian. And then the show gave a tip at the end of the episode where he went to the Republic pilot that helped him in the other episode, where he was asking him to give him Republic contracts for him to make a living. And of course he was going to select most of them, and it's kind of illegal. Yes, but he wasn't carrying, and I think this is what's coming after. and he's gonna have Grogu helping him. And I think, and of course, if you didn't see, there was Dave Filoni right behind there, the guy who's saving Star Wars and is making new projects. I might talk about him later in another video, but I think they're gonna leave the start of Mandalore a little bit behind in the next season. Maybe they will bring back, because it was a huge part of the Mando's experience, to reclaim Mandalore, and we might see a show about Bo-Katan, maybe like a spin-off, because we saw Mandalore, the legendary creature that lives in the planet. So it might is Mandalore. I remember the name of the creature, but it might appear some point in time. They went back to Navarro within parts for IG-11, kind of built him again to be the sheriff of the town. And then with one of the most wholesome moments in the show, where they just go to this nice house in Navarro. There, of course, they needed to win something in the end of the episode, where they just stood there with him looking at the sunset. Grogu and Mando, and Grogu playing with the frog with the force abilities that he was using. It was so wholesome, this and that we needed to have to this season. And of course, we're gonna have more Mandalorian. I don't know, I don't want to have like 10 seasons out of this, but I think they need some point of time. And there, I think 5 seasons a good way to have for Mandalorian. There are great things waiting for us in Star Wars. Of course, they're gonna have the Ahsoka Tano show, which has the possibility of being as good as Mandalorian, maybe better. Acolyte, which is going to be a series. Skeleton Crew, which I don't remember what it is, but it's going to be fire. Andor Season 2, there's like 3 new movies coming out. Another projects in development. I might bring another video to all of that, explaining what's gonna happen in Star Wars. Thank you. I just have to thank you guys so much for watching this season of Mandalorian with me. I think this made my channel grow a little bit, but I think for me it's okay. It gave me a lot of views. I loved doing that. I love Star Wars and I love making these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will definitely see you guys on the next video. So thank you. Goodbye and peace.